Your love keeps me going. Happy Monday, everyone. Donald Trump, clapping for the day. They can't hear you. So Donald Trump held his rally last night at Madison Square Garden. Why on a Sunday? Well, unlike Democrats, they had to go to work on Monday. MSNBC is getting called out for splicing in Nazi images to video of Sunday's Trump rally. They were also criticized for using clips from the Joker, but that turned out to be an unedited Kamala interview. Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe is under fire for joking that Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage, upsetting New Yorkers who said, "I thought we were the floating island of garbage." Yeah, get in line, Puerto Rico. Trump said if he's reelected, he'll cover the costs of his administration's transition. Kamala responded saying if he hires Venezuelan gang members, we'll also cover their transition. In an appeal to young men, AOC and Tim Walz played Madden football online this weekend. They would have played Call of Duty, but Walz kept trying to run. At one point, their stream had fewer than 10,000 viewers. Hell, my stream beats that, and that's when I write my name in the snow. Yeah. A group supporting Kamala Harris released a bizarre ad showing a young man pleasuring himself while watching porn on his phone. Well, at least they finally found some guys who were pulling for Kamala. And finally, a new study suggests that very masculine men are at a higher risk for having heart problems. They say the most masculine men... Thank you. No acting classes. All right, so Trump is, by most accounts, leading in the polls. Suddenly, Hispanics are calling voting Republican mucho caliente, which in English translates to very hot, or Greg Gutfeld. The Jewish vote may go more Republican than any time since Ronald Reagan, which is weird since Trump is Hitler. African Americans are excited to vote for Trump, and not just this one. And a series of so-called conservatives have either been relegated to the nut house or revealed themselves as self-centered phonies. Exhibit A, the Washington Post conservative columnist Jennifer Rubin. Rubin's a longtime WAPO columnist who's claimed to be conservative for years. But even for years before, she was anything but. As a labor lawyer for decades, she was described as straight-ahead Hollywood lib. Still with great fanfare, the Post welcomed her aboard as their token righty, a female conservative. It was like finding a BLM member who's into Dave Matthews. So here's this Post vaunted conservative speaking on MSNBC.
The person who is incoherent and unable to string together a sentence is not President Biden, it's former President Trump. We have an entire political party that is devoted to a criminal defendant, someone who tried to overthrow our democracy. We have a party that has betrayed America. I think it's malpractice for the journalistic troops not to begin asking questions about Trump's sanity, his mental and emotional status. He sounds nuts.
Yep. She's a conservative, and I'm Lizzo's late-night booty call. Could be. Once again, the Donald Trump effect has exposed another lying fraud. Last week, Rubin took to her X account to support LA Times editorial board members who resigned because that paper wouldn't endorse Kamala. Brava, Rubin writes in response to one woman quitting. That is courage, and shame on her boss for not joining her. Bravo, all respect, she says to another, and then added, where are the rest of them? Now, apparently, self-awareness is not Rubin's strong point, because literally, as Rubin was writing that, her own paper was also refusing to endorse Kamala, while still signing Rubin's paychecks, which clearly she doesn't spend on hair and makeup. But maybe she doesn't even read that rag, the one that she works and writes for. So now both the editorial board and its union members at WAPO revolted. But what of the revolting Rubin, who shamed LA Times writers for not quitting? Where is her own resignation letter, you googly-eyed snaggleface? Or does playing fake conservative pay too well? But hey, if you resigned, I'm sure there's room for you at the oats-filled trough at The View. But we know she won't. This woman is about as authentic as the meat at Arby's. But it's not just about Rubin, who in truth really doesn't matter. Fact is, Trump is forcing all these people into showing who they really are. From fakes like Rubin to Democrat operatives at the LA Times and the Washington Post posing as journalists. It's like Trump flipped on the light in the kitchen at 2 in the morning and all these cockroaches went scurrying every which way. Although over at CNN, Captain Poppin' Fresh pulls out a new phrase.
The overarching story here is about a concern that billionaires like Bezos might be rolling over and appeasing Donald Trump, whether even before the election day actually rolls around. This is known by some scholars as anticipatory obedience, the idea that some people obey in advance to curry favor with aspiring authoritarians.
Somebody has Wikipedia. Anticipatory obedience? Sounds like Stelter when he finds a Big Mac on the street. Trump, you see, is like political truth serum. All those people who spent years saying their journalism is purely objective now come out enraged that their office didn't pick a side. But while all this nonsense was going on, Trump was working harder than Joy Behar's flea and tick collar. Did a 3-hour interview with Rogan on Friday. Just imagine either Joe or Kamala doing that.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.